Hey everyone, welcome back to the Book Barn. I'm Lasha.
And I'm Lanie, and today we are diving into two really good books. One is Broken Country by Clare Leslie Hall, and the other is How to Read a Book by Monica Wood. Both explore love, loss, and what it means to get a second chance.
Broken Country begins with a gunshot. The farmer is dead, and the whole village wants to know who killed him.
But that's just the start. Beth's brother-in-law shoots a dog chasing their sheep, and it turns out that that dog belonged to Gabriel Wolfe. That was Beth's first love. Then suddenly, the past comes crashing back into her quiet life with Frank, her steady husband.
Oh, I like Frank.
He was my favorite.
Yeah, Frank was a great character. So it raises the big question, can a woman love two men at the same time?
Not a good idea.
I don't think so either. So Gabriel is passion and freedom, and Frank, he is safety and devotion.
Yes. So Beth and Gabriel, their young love, because that's who she loved when she was young, it was wild. They read books and listened to poetry and long days by the lake. But her marriage with Frank, it was more steady.
Mm-hmm.
There were some cracks in that relationship due to some horrible accidents, for sure. But, yeah, I don't know.
So I loved the structure of the book. Short chapters.
Me too. I loved that.
I know. Made it go so quickly, right? And we would move between past and present.
Good dual timeline again.
Yes.
And the setting mattered. This was a rural village. It was full of gossip. Lots of cool traditions, like their wedding traditions, I thought were super cool, they all came together and did that. But then there was also lots of secrets. Would this story even work outside of that setting? I don't think it would.
Yeah. You know, I have actually read a few reviews on the book, just after I had finished. And boy, there are really some varied opinions on this book. Like I saw several people saying, no way, this is just so unbelievable. And then there were other reviews like, these characters were so believable and they had these, real life type situations. And I don't know. Well, it is set in England. So yes. It's different than where we live. And maybe that has a little bit to do with maybe it not feeling as real to me. Although I live on a farm.
Pretty rural area here.
Yeah. So I did feel like I could kind of identify with her life with Frank.
Sure.
But, then there's the grief.
So much grief.
Beth has lost her son, Bobby.
Oh, that was horrible.
And Gabriel's son, Leo, becomes a mirror of what she lost. Do you think that she was subconsciously treating Leo like Bobby?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. I don't even think it was very subconsciously. I think she knew it, and she made references to it, that it was a slippery slope, and she knew she shouldn't be doing it, but that was Bobby's replacement to her. Yeah.
It was terrible. So when she was heading to his home to help watch his son, Gabriel, it was just dangerous. And you knew that she was crossing a line there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
She knew what was going to happen, but she couldn't help herself, I guess. There were so many twists in this book. I wrote down 3 page numbers that just made my jaw drop. Page 171, page 183, and 277. I'm telling you what, I haven't cried reading a book in a really long time, and this book made me cry.
I cried too. I did. Had tears streaming down my face, but you're not going to read any of those because you don't
I'm not.
Yeah.
We're going to make the readers read it.
That's right. We have decided to keep this spoiler free. So I also, had those tear-jerking moments of some of those pages, I think, that you mentioned. So everyone just needs to read that themselves.
Good stuff. And do you have a paragraph?
Do you have one that you're going to read?
Not a paragraph, but I do have a line or two.
Okay.
And it's on page 8. And they were talking about the meadow. And it just said, it's Keats. It's Wordsworth. It should be for everyone to enjoy.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay. So I do have one.
Good.
It is from page 34, and it is from 1968, which is their later part of the timeline here. Frank and I dance around each other's sadness. Any couple who has lost a child will tell you the same. You see it in the other. Of course you do. But it's like you're on a seesaw of grief, and all you want to do is avoid tipping the other one down.
I just can't even fathom what that would be like. I don't want to know what that's like.
Mm-mm.
Heartbreaking.
Very heartbreaking.
So did you like the book?
That is a good question. No, I did like the book. I did. Yeah, I did.
I did as well. What would you rate the book?
I would probably give it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say a 4+.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to go all the way to a 5, but a 4+.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth a read. And it's very popular.
It is. Yes. Extremely popular right now.
So pick up your copy and read Broken Country. But we have another book to talk about
We
too.
do. Yay.
Yay. So, how to read a book. You found this one. Was it a first read, maybe?
I think maybe it was. You know what? I actually think I found it on my library app when we were still using Hoopla. I think that's maybe where I found it. But it was a fairly new release when I read it. I hadn't heard of anybody talking about it yet. And then now I see it all over.
I see it now too.
Yeah.
You talked me into reading it.
Yep.
And I really liked it.
So this book takes us somewhere completely different inside a prison.
Yes. The setting is so unique and the characters felt so real, I thought. I could hear their pain, but then I could also tell that they had a sense of humor.
Yes.
I loved that. And then at the heart of it, there was Harriet.
Mm-hmm.
They called her Bookie. I loved Bookie.
Yes.
My favorite character. She was a retired English teacher, and she was leading a prison book club.
Yep.
Very cool.
I remember telling you, Lanie, that I wanted you to read this book and that I might have an idea. And you said, are you going to make me start a book club in a prison? I said, no.
And I think one of our friends commented on that, and I can't remember what she said. I think she thought that, did she think that would help me get to be a saint maybe or something? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Well, it probably would help, I guess. I can use all the help I can get.
Well, Bookie had, or Harriet, her mantra was so good.
Yes.
She would have the women in the book club recite, I am a reader, I am intelligent, I have something worthy to contribute.
For those women, book club was not just about books.
Mm-mm.
It was freedom. They laughed, they debated, even played Who Got It Worse. During book club, they could just be readers.
Readers, yes. Yep.
I feel that way about our book club too. Like, obviously we're not in prison, but I feel like you can let go of any stress you have. You're just enjoying your friends and talking about a book.
And talking about a book.
It's quite lovely.
Yes.
Everyone should do a book club.
Yep. And then we have Violet. She is just 22 years old.
So young.
She's in prison because she made a terrible choice.
Yes.
And she was just a kid. After prison, she faced rejection everywhere. And, I mean, even Dunkin' Donuts wouldn't hire her.
Right. And you know that stuff really happens.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's very difficult to find employment when you've been in prison. But there was a glimmer of hope. She did end up finding a job, and it was with a professor, right? Who worked with parrots, which was
Funny.
Yeah. He was not funny. The boss was.
No. And that part, I don't want to give too much away here, but that storyline in particular, I didn't really feel like needed to be there.
I agree.
I mean, I love the parrot part.
Me too.
But there was a little sidebar or something going on there.
Right. Agree.
I just didn't think that even really took the book further necessarily.
Right.
Everything else could have happened just fine.
Yes.
Without part.
But then there was Frank, and he has a very important part in this story. And he and Harriet kind of become Violet's lifeline. Mm-hmm. And I just adored them and all the animals, the parrots and the cats and whatever.
Yes. So this book is all about second chances. Do books change depending upon where and when we read them? For these women, the answer was yes.
I agree with that. And, we have friends that are very much like us, and we can all read the same book and have a different experience with that book.
Absolutely.
So I think that is true.
So Violet was bold, reckless, but ultimately she was resilient.
And she rebuilt her life, but that wasn't easy.
So do you think that Harriet crossed the line by befriending women beyond the prison walls?
So this brings up a friend of ours. We do have a friend who works with women who have been incarcerated.
Right. We were really hoping that we could have LeAnn in the book barn with us today, but our schedules we couldn't get them to mesh this time. We did send her some questions, so she was kind enough to answer those for us, and she sent that to us in an audio format. And this is our special segment with LeAnn.
Hello, ladies. It's so good to be connected with you guys on this project. This subject matter is near and dear to my heart. It's a passion, something I never knew I was going to end up involved in. And when it happened, it quickly became part of my heart and passion for me. So I'm sorry we couldn't get our schedules together, but I thought it might be easiest if I just look at the questions and kind of talk about it. So your first question, what first drew you to working with women who've been incarcerated? I have a friend or a family that we vacationed with since 1979, or I guess it began in 1979. We were very close with them. We would, go skiing with them. We'd made trips out there like in spring break. I have a box full of letters in my garage where we wrote back and forth with these girls, and I still have all of those out there. So we were very close, and around 2017, we found out that one of the girls had made some decisions that got her in some trouble, something she really had never planned, something she hadn't intended. But, you kind of start moving some boundaries sometimes, and you end up a lot further away than what you were expecting. And that's what happened. She ended up with a 4-year prison sentence. And I found out about it, and we got in contact. And while she was in jail, I began communicating and writing, and we just decided that we were going to use her inside contacts, my outside resources, and while she was in there, try to help as many women as possible. But another add-on to that is this was actually more of a spiritual journey, God providing the nudges and me responding to them. Question 2, can you share a moment early on that confirmed you were doing the right work? Wow, that is a good question. And there are so many answers to that. That was just like, yes, this is the right direction. This is hard. This is difficult. I called them God's fingerprints. There were so many moments where I could not have put some of the situations together that were coming together. Anyway, there again would be multiple moments I could speak about, but there's one in particular I think that I'll mention. But this was my friend, I'll just call her G. She was in the Florida Women's Reception Center. That was the prison she was in Ocala, Florida. And I was headed there after she went to prison. Jail began in 17. She got out. They had her hearing, and then she began her sentence, I believe, January or February of 18. So once she was in, I began to get connected with multiple women, and I was writing back and forth with them as one would get ready to get out. If we were connected and they were wanting help, I would help get them into a transition house or work with their family and just whatever was needed in order to get them going. And so there were 4 or 5 women by this time that I was writing with and working with. And one in particular was getting ready to get out, had fulfilled her sentence, and it was December of 18, and I was flying from Kansas City to Orlando, and I was picking her up straight from the prison gates. Like, we had spoken on the phone, we had done prison videos back and forth, but had never met her, didn't know her before. I was picking her up straight from prison. And that was exciting. I was glad that she was going to be able to get a second chance. I was bringing her back to Kansas City, to the Kansas City Women's Rescue Mission, was the name at the time. And she was going to be full-time in this facility for 6 months to a year. And I'm on the plane, and all of a sudden I start feeling very overwhelmed. Kind of like when, I don't know, having your first baby, and then all of a sudden you realize everything is changing. All of a sudden I have all this responsibility. I kind of felt a little of that again. Like, I am picking her up straight from prison. She's getting in my car. I've never met her. And all of a sudden I just started feeling really overwhelmed. When my friend found out she was going to be in the Florida Women's Reception Center, I read everything I could about this prison. I was reading incident reports. I was reading news articles. I was looking at it from Google Earth, seeing where she was going to be. So I knew what that facility looked like. I had studied it, not sure why, other than I was just overwhelmed and blown away that my friend since 1979 was going to this place. And so I just kind of drank it all in and learned all I could. So I was familiar with what it looked like, even though I hadn't been there. So I'm in this plane. I'm on row 8, have my head against the window on the right side of the plane. And I just began to pray. I began to pray for my friend who was in there, as well as the 4 women that I had begun dealing with that was also in the Florida Women's Reception Center. After I was done saying a prayer for them, then I was just like teary. But I was feeling very overwhelmed. And I was like, God, I feel very guilty right now that you have shown up so big to make all of this happen. And I'm still feeling this way right now. Just please give me some kind of confirmation that I am doing the right thing. Well, when I opened my eyes from that prayer, please give me confirmation, I looked down and I recognized what I thought was the Florida Women's Reception Center. Never been above it. I just had seen it from Google Earth. I was like, I think that's it. It looks a little different, but the only thing is there's lights around the perimeter. And if there's lights, it would look like that. So I made note of what time it was. So when I got off the plane and got to I was staying with my friend's mother. I had to drive an hour to get to her. Once I got to her house and talked with her and got back in the room, I wanted to know what time it was because I was going to go on FlightAware, look up all the coordinates and find out where I was at that time. So sure enough, I got finished talking with her mother that night, went to the back of the room and looked up the coordinates at that time, and we were flying right over the top of Ocala, Florida. So that was a moment for me that, I had said a prayer, God, please show me, give me something to go on, just one more time, please confirm it because I'm feeling a certain way and praying for those girls. And I'm flying over the very building, the very facility where the 4 or 5 girls I'm praying for are housed. And that was mind-blowing to me. So, yeah. Question number 3, what are some of the biggest obstacles these women face upon re-entry into society? When I was reading the book, tears welled up multiple times because some of Violet's descriptions were just spot on. Just some of what some of the ladies had gone through and experienced. I could say that 100% this book was accurate with that. One of the biggest things is they're used to having every decision made for them and no choices. Some of them are in there long enough, the world's changed a bit. And so having so many options and then trying to keep up with all that, they become overwhelmed. You start off with jail, then the prison, and then if they qualified for it, some of them went to work release centers, and many of them I worked with were in work release. So they wore their bracelet, and they were able to get out and do a few more things. At that point, they could get employment, and they would ride the bus to their job and then come back. One of the girls she had done well enough to where she was able to take some money and go do, I think, 45 minutes, an hour of shopping at a Target. So she was able to go with the bus. They monitored you on the bracelet. Once she got there, she was so used to just the canteen and the stuff she had to choose from at the prison or what they were told they had to use. Once she got to Target and had options, instead of that being something that was freeing and felt good, she literally had a panic attack in the store. I think she was curled up in a ball on one of the aisles, and someone found her and, loved on her a bit, supported her and helped her through that. But she realized she wasn't ready for it. It was just too much. If they go back to the same people and friends and circles that they were hanging out with and that were their support systems before they came into prison, if they go back to that again and the bad influences, it's just a matter of time before they go back in. I mean, the prisons, most of them are called correctional facilities, but really they're really about more punishment than correction. So the recidivism rate is extremely, extremely high. So these ladies have to know, when I get out, if I want this to be the last time that I'm here, then I'm going to have to make some changes. And I can't go back to the same friend that's doing the alcohol and the drugs and all of that. So a lot of them, even some of them that I was working with, went back. Not all of them, but some of them went back 1 or 2 times before they made it out for good. And, some of them are now working in transitional facilities, helping other people. But there were a lot of bumps getting them out of there. Oh, just jobs. The felony follows you around everywhere. So unless get out and you're equipped to start your own business, you are very limited. You might find just an individual with a big heart and full of grace that's willing to give you a chance, but that's few and far between as far as employment. Most of the time when people get out and they have this kind of background, restaurants are one of the first things they go to. If you had a drug or alcohol issue that got you into prison, you're going to have access to that in the restaurant. And so it's a bad situation because they do all this work to get detoxed and get clean, and they do their time, and then they go back out into one of the only environments and employers that will take them, which is a restaurant. And then, they have access to the alcohol and drugs again, and then the circle oftentimes will begin again. Number 4, what kinds of support systems make the biggest difference? There are several support systems. Some of them are better than others. They're not all what they claim to be sometimes, so you have to kind of do some digging and filter through that. And some people are in areas where they have more available to them than others. But transition houses, housing assistance, employment services, resume workshops, education and training, mental health counseling, substance abuse treatment centers, legal support. There may be legal issues they're still having to fight through. So there are many things and many programs and help that they can get. But at the end of the day, the number one, honestly, is who are you going to go to do life with? Finding the support group from people that can be trusted is the top of the list, and oftentimes that is through a church. Number 5, how do you help them discover their strengths and purpose? One of the things that became very apparent in my work with them was that it only takes one person to believe in them when they've no longer been able to believe in themselves. And so when you can show that love and support and mercy and grace, that's huge, is just, having that person beside them. There's also mentorship programs, connecting them with mentors who successfully have reintegrated back into life, goal setting exercises, helping them get access to community programs, educational opportunities, skill development exercises, and just making sure you're celebrating the small wins. Sometimes there's going to be a step or two back and disappointments and a couple steps sideways, but just celebrating those small wins and helping them continue to move forward. Obviously, by now from the answers to some of my other questions here, it was a ministry for me. So Bible reading and prayer, and we spend a lot of time in those areas as well. Number 6, what advice would you give someone who wants to get involved in this kind of work? I would say be prepared that not everything is going to go the way you hope. Although this work can be very, very fulfilling, and it's a beautiful thing to watch women get a second chance and actually take advantage of that and take the steps to move forward and improve on their situation, there will be those that are somewhat stuck. They have been in an unhealthy situation and a toxic environment for so long that has begun to feel like home. So they would rather stay there than step out towards something more healthy, because that actually feels more uncomfortable, because that is foreign to them. It's like a foreign land. And I would also advise people to get in touch with other people that have done some of this, that have visited jails, that have visited prisons, that have had experience in these areas. It definitely helps. Number 7, if you could say one thing to every woman coming out of prison today, what would it be? This is very difficult because they would tell you I never say just one thing. But I would say, if I had to summarize, keep looking up and keep looking forward.
And LeAnn, we can't thank you enough for being a part of this episode.
So what did you think about this book?
Well, I liked it a lot. It was different. It was different than what we've typically been reading, which that's what I liked about it. It wasn't a romance, or, there might have been a little romance in it, but it wasn't a romance.
Right.
I liked it. 2 very different stories, but I'd recommend them both.
Yeah. So would you rate this one?
I would put this one out of 4.
Okay.
How about you?
For me, this one is a little bit above a 4.
Okay,
yeah,
we flipped.
Yeah, not a 5, but it was a serious topic, but it also felt lighthearted at the same time. Did you get that too?
I did.
Yeah,
I did get that.
There were lines that made you laugh for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it just kind of was refreshing to me, especially at the time I read it, I think. Going back to, do books change when or where you read them? And I think that it was just... It was by chance that I read it. It wasn't one that I had planned, and it was just perfect timing for me at that moment. And
I love that.
Yeah, I loved it.
And I thought it had a bit of call to action for me. Not that I want to work with women who've been incarcerated, but I could see that Harriet made a difference.
Right.
And don't we all want to, in some way, make a difference?
Absolutely.
So I liked that about this book as well. So, Lasha, what's our next book club book?
It's All the Blood We Share.
It is The Bloody Benders.
The Bloody Benders. And that is by Camilla Bruce. Are you excited about it?
I am. So the Bender Mound is really not that far from where we live.
Right. Very close.
So we've heard the stories of the Bloody Benders,
Yep.
but this one's fictional.
Right.
So that
It's going to be different.
it
Yeah.
is. I'm
Interesting to see that.
intrigued.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have a pretty special guest next time.
Okay.
So not our next podcast, our next book club pick. So that will happen in October.
Well, I think that wraps up this episode. Broken Country and How to Read a Book. Two very different stories that I think we both recommend, right?
I agree.
So until next time, I'm Lasha.
And I'm Lanie.
And keep your bookmarks busy.